Hello everybody. This video is to introduce you to the updated writing guidelines for 2026. As we go forward from summer, this is the format we're going to use. If you've taken my class before, they have changed since then. Okay, so um, we have a very extensive academic integrity policy in this class, and it is by necessity because there is so much AI use going on, and the concept around this class, well, all of my classes actually, is that they're designed for you to apply concepts to your own life, your own community, to think critically um, about your own circumstances and how the concepts work together. And those critical thinking skills really cannot be outsourced. And it gets worse. If you don't practice them, they atrophy, right? The skills that you have in place, if you are tired and you're like, well, I don't have time, I don't have the energy to like work on this essay, on this research paper, and you delegate that, yes, you have gotten more sleep for sure. But also, the brain is a little bit like a muscle, like it's kind of a use it or lose it sort of instrument, and you don't develop or you lose the ability to kind of do that stuff in real time. So, as a social worker, you're going to have those skills in the field in real time so that you can work with clients and problem solve and think things through from multiple perspectives without pulling out your phone and asking AI what you're supposed to be doing. So, this class is the social work class is designed to help you develop those skills, practice those skills. Psychology is not that different in the sense that I have really created the class so that folks are taking the concepts and really thinking about them as they apply to the world around them. It's not just a class about, tell me about Piaget's stages, So, yeah, in both settings, you really need to be doing your own deep thinking. There is no busy work in either class. Everything has a purpose. So, being able to do that stuff on your own is really critical. Okay, so how do we ensure that? The writing guidelines are the main way that we do that. So basically, if you're enrolled in the class, you're agreeing to do this. And you're welcome to drop, but you're not going to be able to pass the class if you don't use these. So it's really important that you understand them. And the orientation module has an opportunity to kind of figure out how to do it. There's a assignment in the orientation module where you have to adjust your Canvas settings so that you are getting notifications for the things that you need notifications for. And that's been combined with using the writing guidelines so that you understand how to create the document, how to share the document correctly so that I can engage with it the way that I need to. So that is in the orientation module. And I have had people have to go back and kind of revise that a number of times before they got it. But once you get it, you're kind of good to go. It feels pretty simple. But I absolutely understand that it can feel daunting at first if you've never used Google Docs, or you're like, well, I'm not tech savvy. It's okay. You don't have to be tech savvy. You just have to be able to follow the directions. But before we get to the directions, let's talk about what the requirement is. So, you are required to compose all of your written work in a Google Doc. Okay, so that means that every assignment that you have, every quiz response that requires a written response, every discussion that you are replying to or that you're replying to a classmate, anything where you have to put words down on a document and submit it in the class, if it's not coming from a pencil and a pen, you need to be using Google Docs for that. Okay, so Google Docs does track every keystroke. It doesn't show you that by default. It shows you kind of a broader version history tracking, but there are ways to kind of look at that in more detail. And I use those tools to kind of see your writing process, right? To see your ideas develop over time, how you go back and edit them later, how you revise them if revisions are required. And one of the things that is not allowed is copy and paste. Right. So, I mean, obviously, if it's a URL or a quote or a citation, that's all fine. But, if you're copying and pasting, entire paragraphs from, some other place, that is not allowed. Okay, so if that happens and I can see that on your doc happening, I will return your assignment to you, and I will say, this doesn't meet the writing guidelines requirement and it can't be graded. Now, if it hasn't locked yet, you can do it again, and that's fine. But a lot of times, especially in social work where there's a lot of discussions, um, the task has locked, and because discussions lock on their due date, right? So there is not an opportunity to revise. So just keep this in mind when you're creating your submissions, that you can't copy and paste things from the outside. Okay. One other thing that you can copy and paste is the assignment prompt. People do that all the time. They copy and paste the entire assignment prompt into their submission, and then they work from there. And that is totally fine. No problem there. The other part of this is that you have to use the exact citations for every source. Okay, so what does that mean? Pretty much everything that you have to do in this class comes from a video or a reading or something that I have directly assigned you in the class. And even if I've said go out and do some research about this and come back with some ideas, you're going to obviously have a source for that. So, you know, APA citations are sort of general. If you look up how to do an APA citation, unless it's a direct quote, it doesn't really say exactly where in a source something comes from. Okay, well, that is the requirement here. So yes, you do have to cite using APA, but also, if you're writing something based on a video, you're gonna need to give me the timestamps for whatever the thing is that you're referencing. Okay, because again, this is part of the academic integrity policy. It's important to know and to be able to track and to be able to come back and look at where you are getting your ideas from. And I know sometimes that makes people feel like they're being policed, but I got to tell you that it's been a rough couple of years around this topic, and it's not about policing so much as it is about ensuring that you are learning what you need to learn, right? Okay, so videos are easy. You can do timestamps. It's a little more complicated when it's a reading. Because sometimes those quotes that you're pulling your idea from can be quite lengthy, and it doesn't matter. You're not being charged by the electron. You can copy and paste the entire quote if you want to. That's okay. But your quote can't just stand on its own. You can't be like, here's my idea. hit submit, right? You know, you can say it came from this place, copy and paste a quote, but then you have to talk about it. You have to explain it. You have to apply, you know, your thought process to it and explain it. So you can copy and paste those quotes, those citations. That's okay to do. If it does feel like large and unwieldy to do that, you can find some way to tell me where it came from. So you know, if the reading was from you know, a peer-reviewed paper, you can give me you know, the paragraph and the link and all of that stuff. So you can do all that. You know, I'm not super picky. I just need to be able to figure out where it came from, right? Okay. So how do you do it? Well, the instructions are going to differ if you are on a computer or you're on a mobile device. So, you know, there's a link here for if you're using a mobile device, that will help you figure it out from there. Why don't we do that first? Let's go through that first. So let me make this a little bit bigger. So this document obviously is a link. It's available to you, but just to spin through it really quickly, right? You will create your document in Google Docs. You're going to have to download the app, or I suppose you can do it from the browser, but I think the app is probably easier. You're going to tap those three dots in the corner. Okay. And then you're going to get this menu. All right. You're going to go to share and export. That's right there. Select share and export. And then you're going to get this menu. Right. You're going to select manage access on that menu. Let me go back up for a second. You're going to select manage access. That's that second thing up there. Then you're going to get this, okay? So the default is restricted, okay? Only people added can open with the link. But you're going to have to change that. So you're going to tap it where it says restricted. You're going to select anyone with the link, okay? So you're going to tap it right there. And then you're going to change the permission level to editor. Okay, so you're going to change the anyone with the link here, right? You're going to click on that from the default. The default is checked here, but you're going to want to click on that anyone with the link. And so you just want to make sure before you submit that the document shows anyone with the link and that it's set to editor. Okay, editor for anyone with the link. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, so it's going to look like this when you're done. All right. And then you're finished, right? You've set the document correctly. All you have to do then is copy and paste the link to the document into the document itself so that I can access it. Okay, so on the desktop, the process is, you know, similar, but it looks a little bit different, obviously. There's some screenshots for that here. So you start the new document, and then you name it, and you click the share button, right? And that's under the file. And then in the pop-up window under General Access, again, you're going to select anyone with the link. And then in the drop-down menu, you're going to select Editor, right? It's not going to be default Editor. It's going to be default Viewer. So you're going to have to select that and change it. So you're going to click Copy Link, right? That's this thing here. And then you're going to copy and paste the entire thing. right? Well, you're going to copy the link and then you're going to put it into the document. And then you're going to copy and paste the entire thing into your text box, right? So most of the submissions are text boxes. If you want to submit a PDF, you can, but that's an additional step, no big deal. If you're going to have like an image or something, then a text box is not going to work for you. You're going to need to do the PDF. All good, right? Either way is fine. But the doc URL should be in the submission itself. Okay, so what does that mean? What do you mean it has to be in the submission itself? So there's a couple of ways that I see that people do this incorrectly. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so there's two ways that people do it incorrectly. They take their URL and they put it in as an assignment comment, okay? Or they go to, the add people, groups, and calendars box, and then they put my email address into it. Please don't do that. Please don't do either one of these things. The reason why I don't want you to do either one of these things is because they both generate emails to me. There are absolutely semesters where I have 200 students, and if everybody does this for every submission, I have so much email that real email just gets lost. I just cannot find it. So please don't do this. Please just put your URL at the bottom of your submission, and then when I go to grade, I will see it right there, and I can click on it and that whole thing. Okay, so there is one exception to this, which I'm sorry about the truck outside. There is one exception to this, which is discussions. Sorry, just wanted to wait for him to go by. The discussions, if you don't feel comfortable sharing your editor link to your discussion post, with the whole class, I understand. I've been doing this for a while now, and I've never had anybody mess with somebody else's doc, but I completely understand if that's your position. You may put it in as an assignment comment if you feel worried about that. So that's fine. But anything other than discussions, right? You're gonna put that link into your submission itself. All right, so that was the writing guidelines. Hopefully that is helpful. People often have a bunch of questions about this, and that's fine. Happy to answer your questions. You can put it into the orientation hub if you want, and I'll answer it there, or you can send me a one-on-one message, or whatever you feel comfortable doing. I'm happy to explain it to you. I want everybody to be as successful as possible in this class, and the only way to do that is to kind of understand the guidelines of how to submit your assignments. Okay, thanks so much, and I will see everybody around.